let's start with a quick video. Okay, Signs of the Times, established 1886, fresher than ever, we like to say. But you'll notice through the history of Signs of the Times, it has continually responded to what is happening in the world around us. Because if you call your magazine Signs of the Times, you can't spend your time talking about ancient history. You need to connect with where people are at, and that has always been what Signs of the Times has done. When the very first missionaries came to this country from the US in 1885, two of their number was a printing press guy and a literature evangelist. This was part of their strategy from the very, very beginning. So we're going from new school, Wayne, to old school. Print media, print media, which was the engine of the Reformation, the written word, really, really powerful. I think less than 10 years after those first missionaries arrived on our shores, that a farmer up past Bathurst in a place called Eugowra received a visit from a literature evangelist. And that literature evangelist he would have had Signs of the Times magazine. He presented a number of books and things, and that farmer by the name of Thomas Kent, an Anglican man, bought a copy of Great Controversy. And through reading that book and through some incredible interventions of the Holy Spirit, that family became the first family of Seventh-day Adventists west of the Blue Mountains. And that man was my great-great-great-grandfather. So there you go. So the power of the printed word has certainly, come down through my family history, for sure. So look, does everyone have a magazine in their hand, their hot little hand now? There are more in the box in the centre of the room. If you don't, what are you seeing in there? What issues are we covering? What issues are you seeing covered in there? What topics? Because I think part of the issue why perhaps Signs of the Times is underappreciated by Adventists is that we don't open it often enough. So tell me, just shout out. I'm an interactive sort of guy. Obesity. Sorry? Obesity, okay. That's a big issue, isn't it? Wow. Marriage, relationships, yep. Health, generally, yep. Domestic violence, yep. Who's seeing some spiritual or faith issues or doctrinal issues being presented there? Which issues are covered? Christmas. Well, yeah, Christmas. Yeah, totally. So Christmas is a great opportunity to talk about, the birth of Jesus, the incarnation, salvation, all sorts of things. Yeah. Oh, yeah, lots of health stuff. Sorry. What happens when we die? Yeah. Yep. You're seeing that. The importance of a comma. The importance of a comma. What is it actually about, Blake? You might have to flick through.
I believe it's about the thief on the cross, but I haven't read it yet.
That you're exactly right. Yes. That's as Jesus said to the thief on the cross, I tell you today you will be with me in paradise. Or was it, I tell you today you will be with me in paradise? Yes, the importance of a comma. So that, totally gets, so you have definitely Adventist distinctives. In fact, we have a mission to have an article about every single one of the 28 fundamentals through this magazine as you continue to read it from issue to issue. Okay, this is a full message strategy. But what you won't find in there, and as Wayne Krause was pointing out to us, if you're trying to reach people who don't have that church background, you need to use language that is going to connect with them. You can't assume knowledge of Bible stories or churchy jargon or, Christian concepts. So that is what we're about. Yes, it presents the Adventist health message. That's there too. You have messages about alcohol. You have messages about plant-based eating. You have messages about exercise. and yeah, as well as, current issues our world is facing. When you're called Signs of the Times, you have a mission to talk about the direction the world is facing. We have the doomsday clock was adjusted this week. Did you see that in the news?
Yes. No. 2 minutes. No.
It's 100 minutes to 100 seconds to midnight now. So these are sort of things that we need to connect with, the conversations people are having out there. So what we want to do at Signs of the Times is to equip you for mission. You as believers, you as church planters in particular, we want to equip you for mission. Signs of the Times is a resource for you to share with those people you are building relationships with. I wanted to talk about 4 different strategies that you could possibly use. The first one is what we call our Community Connection 5-star project. Basically, we have a number of different 5-star projects, and if you jump on our website, you'll see what they are. But this one in particular, I think, connects with what a lot of you guys are doing. Basically, a 5-star project means, hey, we at Signs Magazine recognise that there are certain strategies that are likely to be really effective in connecting with your community. When we see you doing that, we will very happily give you a discounted rate on Signs of the Times in order for you to share those magazines with your community, because we believe our aims are compatible. I can go one more step than that though, and to let you know that we actually have people who donate to us. They believe in the ministry of Signs of the Times. We have donations sitting there that are ready to fund Signs of the Times magazines to be used in your church plant for an ongoing strategy where you are having ongoing positive connections with your community. Okay? Did you get that message? We have the donations, we have the magazines. All we need to do is to hook up with you guys and get the party started, get that regular contact happening. You're probably already doing it. We're not here to ask you to do something new. We're here to resource what you're already doing. And look, as you flip through the magazine, you'll see, you're not getting Walter Veith conspiracy theories here, okay? But on the other hand, you're not getting, Archbishop Spong questioning whether the resurrection was really happened. It's not liberal, it's not conservative, it's right down the middle, very standard Adventist stuff. It's safe, okay? It's safe. If you in your church plant, I heard a few of you mention, we run a food pantry. You might have a community meals program. You might do a bread run. You might run a God's closet or have an op shop. You might do prison ministry or, health sort of programs. Whatever it is you're doing, if you're having regular contact with the community, that is the right place for Signs of the Times magazine. The wrong place for Signs of the Times magazine is sitting on an Adventist's coffee table or in that basket next to your loo and never going any further. That's the wrong place. That's the right place. So that's, sorry? The back of the church, unless you're an incredibly outreach-oriented church and you have people walking in off the street because God told me to come to church today, well then, hey, why not? And if it's at the back of the church and church members are picking it up and then sharing it with their neighbours, back of the church is great. But sadly, yes, there are churches where there are Signs magazines piling up in drifts in a back room. And if you're a smart literature evangelist or a smart church planter, you know where those drifts are and you scoop them up and go and use them. Okay, we have actually entered into the 21st century at Signs magazine. We have a website. Yes, signsofthetimes.org.au. We've really undercut it. We've gazumped ourselves because we put nearly all our content on the website absolutely free. Okay? Again, what is our purpose there? It doesn't make financial sense. What it does make sense is to resource you to do what you're doing. So if Facebook or social media is a part of your media strategy and you're like, what do I put on Facebook? What is going on? I can't invent content. I can't write good stories. Grab a story, repost it, put the URL there, share it. Coronavirus. We actually reposted this article from last year and sort of connected it with coronavirus. You can do that too. Have a look through, see what's going on. Twitter as well. So Twitter, Facebook, the website, signsofthetimes.org.au. Take a photo or look it up right now. So yeah, use our digital resources as your resources, okay? You're welcome to. Some people will ask us, send a tentative email, do you mind if I share your article with my friend? I'm like, far out! You've so missed the point. That's why it's there. It's there for you to share with your friend. Podcast as well. So you see the podcast is there, so you can listen there. You can look at the archive of the podcasts. Again, see if there's something that works for your friend. Share it. Share it on your website. Embed our content on your website if you've got a webmaster who can do that. Share it through social media. That is exactly what it's there for. Spread it far and wide. Absolutely free. Because I guess, Signs of the Times preaches a sermon when maybe you can't. That's what it comes down to. You might just be building a friendship there, connecting with people, but that magazine, that story, that presence on the web preaches a sermon when you can't. Okay, number 3. We call this a signs round. We're going to have a little look at a video. Some of you may have seen it before. This comes from a church just down the road from here.
Lying between the Pacific Ocean and the eastern shore of Lake Macquarie in New South Wales, Swansea Adventist Church is a traditional congregation of mainly older people.
It's a wonderful little church. There's probably about 25 to 30 people that come along. It's a really warm church. It's a small community, but it's a close community.
Justin Boyd volunteers as the assistant pastor at Swansea. His background and passion is in youth ministry, but he's been won over by the commitment church members have shown to reaching their community.
The church here runs a food pantry every Friday from 10 to 12, and probably each week they have about 30 to 35 people come through and collect food hampers and bread and whatever they need for the week. Yeah, it's been a great way for the church to connect with the community. We have a lot of regulars that we know, and they come every week. We know them by name, we get to know their stories and talk with them.
Senior Pastor Eddie Mackey has infected Justin with his enthusiasm for visitation and building kingdom relationships with Swansea residents. A key part of the evangelistic strategy they've developed centres around Signs of the Times magazine.
Pastor Eddie had been using Sign magazines probably for years and years and years before I came along. For me, the Signs magazine was a magazine that sat on the shelf. I hadn't really looked at it or seen it in much detail at all. And Eddie would take the Signs magazine, and as we'd go from door to door, we basically used the Signs magazine as an excuse to go visit someone. When we have probably a dozen people in the community that we're connected with, not coming to church yet, but we just sort of have that connection with them. A new Signs magazine comes out, and that's an excuse for us to go and say, hey, here's a new Signs magazine, how are you doing? Connect with them. Sometimes they'll invite us in, and we'll chat with them for a little bit, and it's just a really great conversation starter. And it's because we're combining the magazine with the relationship. And we go to the door, we say hi, usually we know them, know their name, we just hand them a magazine and talk to them about their life and what they've been up to. Just a really great point to connect with.
Time and again, Signs magazine has been proven to be an effective tool in building connections with people who don't yet know Jesus. How can your church use Signs of the Times to reach your community? Find out more at signsofthetimes.org.au.
Okay, so you sort of get a little bit of a picture there of how a signs round might work in a small church. I mean, this is a church that's, I guess questions have been asked, is it dying, But there's a lot of outreach passion there, which is really, really great to see. So what we call a signs round, basically the easy way to do it is you get a bunch of old Signs magazines, maybe the drift out of the deacons' rooms, or maybe you have a chat to us. We've got some past issues. You letterbox them for maybe 3 months in a row, like once a month. Then on the 4th month, you actually knock on the door. So you select a block or a street or whatever you're focusing on. Then you knock on the door and you say, hey, listen, my name's Marcus. I live down the street. I've been, dropping Signs magazines in your letterbox over the last couple of months. Would you like to continue to receive it? Some people will say no. A few people will say yes. From that point, you subscribe to the magazine for that number of, could be a handful of people, and every month you visit them again at the door, not in the letterbox, to the door. Often people say, oh, can you give me a whole bunch of signs? I want a letterbox. And so, well, if that's all you're doing, not really sure that's what it's about. It's about making relationships, building friendships, connecting with people, deeper engagement. So that's a signs round. I should also talk about our sister magazine, Mums at the Table. Who's come across Mums at the Table? Yeah. If your church plant is particularly focused on families, this might be a great resource for you. Whereas Signs is a sort of a broad, has a broad approach, looking at the public generally, Mums at the Table magazine is obviously focusing on mums. Magazine comes out every 2 months. Again, they have a website with a great content there. They have a TV show. It's also on Channel 7 also on YouTube. So more content to share, okay, through your social media platforms. They have a private group there, and I took a screenshot yesterday on this. It's now at 5,522 members. It's going gangbusters, 100 a week joining up. Their moderators are scrambling. But this is a safe place for mums to connect with other mums, and Adventist mums in particular are being encouraged to join up, to become part of the conversation, to build those connections with people online. And these are vulnerable people saying, hey, I'm a first-time mum, I'm feeling really isolated, what do I do with this, how do I deal with that? And it's been shown to be a really safe place for mums to share and to minister and disciple, I guess, is where it ends up. So yeah, mumsattetable.com is your starting point there, or have a chat to me over dinner. Would love to talk to you about that, because it is about building relationships. Look, I'm not saying Signs of the Times is the only resource, or Mums at the Table are the only resource you should ever use, the only print resource you should use. But seriously, think about it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you'll struggle to find many other resources out there that speak to the person on the street rather than a churchgoer, that speak primarily to an Australian and New Zealand audience, and uphold Adventist distinctives. You will struggle to find resources that tick those 3 boxes, speak to the person on the street, speak to an Aussie Kiwi audience, and uphold Adventist distinctives. You will struggle. So I recommend Signs of the Times to you. I recommend Mums at the Table to you, and would really love to hear how those are going in your ministry, in your mission to your communities. Thanks so much for your time.